Hi everybody, this is Rhys Barber from Audiology Associates. Thanks very much for watching that earwax removal video today. Just one patient in this compilation, so we're clearing out both ears here. This patient has a really interesting backstory, which I'll tell you a little bit later on. But you can see from this first ear canal, the entrance to the ear canal itself is quite narrow, and the wax is quite a sticky consistency. So this is what we're taking away. You've got the standard size Zollner tube in here. Now the entrance to this canal has got this very sticky wax, but deeper in there we get this slightly harder material. We managed to break away that first section coming away there, and we'll take a little look further back, and you can start to see this much deeper section that's slightly harder. Now this patient's ear canal is a bit of a funny shape. So what we've got is we've got this sort of wider section here at the front, and then we go into a narrow pinch point which has got this very pronounced little valley at the bottom of it, just there. And then as you go through that, the ear canal opens back up again. So what we end up with, this patient is quite a regular patient of ours, and what you end up with then is this harder wax forming at the other side of this pinch point, which makes it very difficult for it to migrate through, which is why you get this collection of much harder wax. It also makes it a little bit more difficult to remove because you're trying to fit a wide chunk of wax through a very narrow gap. Now, I did say this patient's got quite an interesting backstory, and we're going to talk about that in a second when we see their eardrum as well on this side. I think I may have told you about them before, I'm not 100% sure. But you can see now you've got this really much thicker, slightly harder wax here that we're trying to coax through this narrow section. But as you can see, when I'm putting the suction further down to the canal, that little valley there, the ear canal wall skin, you can see it was just collapsing down. Now that we don't want that to happen, because sometimes that can form a perfect seal, and that can then cause a vacuum in the ear canal, which is really uncomfortable and can cause a bit of barotrauma to the eardrum. So we've introduced a little bit of olive oil in here just to coax this through, help it slide through that gap a little bit. But at the moment, I'm looking for any way of rolling this wax out through this space, ideally from the top to roll it through, but sometimes we have to lift from the bottom there just to get that through. But you can see now I'm just trying to pull the suction tube downwards and try and drop this forwards. But what it's doing at the moment is taking the looser and smaller, softer sections off the surface of this wax. The reason it looks a little bit blurry, now we had this with Wednesday's video as well, is because we're working so close to those little cilia. They drop in front of my endoscope, which kind of alters the focus every once in a while. But we've got a good piece there, just came away at the bottom of that section. And now we've got this much softer section at the top here. Let's try and see if we can roll this forwards. It's just breaking these chunks off. So I'm using the suction tube at the moment, almost a bit like a Jobson horn, if you like. So as I'm drawing it down the front of the wax, it's actually breaking these little bits off, and then they're instantly getting sucked inside the machine. Got a little bit of loose skin here at the base of the canal, a little bit of old dead loose skin there. And you can see it's really holding on to these canal walls. Now, the first time I saw this patient, they had their ears cleaned out for a very long time, and that skin has actually started to overgrow this plug of wax, which made it a really difficult to removal to do. But luckily now the patient comes through about twice a year to get this done. So we're just loosening this bottom section. You can see that valley now quite clearly. See how it really pinches at the bottom there? I'm just about able to get the suction tube through. But you can see how we're trying to just wiggle this a little bit just to remove it. The little cilia are passing back and forth over the camera there as I'm moving the suction tube, which is why it you can see it almost blocking the view a little bit. So I'm trying to hold the suction tube on there and really clamp down on it, but it's not really budging. So now we've got these infant scoops. This is the first time we've had these since we've seen this patient. So it's a great little tool. It's very narrow, so we're able to get into the top here, and we're able to scoop through. Now what would happen if I'd use a Jobson horn here is the Jobson horn would have just separated out and squished it further down to the valley, but because the scoop on this little infant scoop here actually picks it up like a little spoon and picks the wax up, it's able to take it away without squishing it too far into the valley. Now because we've taken that top chunk away there, almost like imagine a bit like a melon ball, you're kind of taking this chunk away from the top. Now you've removed that, we can now lift what's in the valley here, look, and that's able to then pull through. We can lift that narrow section and draw the whole thing through. And there we go, you can see this coming away really well. There we go, out that pops. So if we take a look behind that, you can see a couple of little bits of debris, but have a look at the eardrum. I just missed it then, sorry guys, we can go and take a look now. There we are, you can see the eardrum. notice how we're missing the standard sort of anatomical features that we'll be looking at here. We're not really seeing, the tip of the hammer bone. There's no light reflex there. It's not smooth, shiny, pearlescent. It's none of those things. Now, I promise to tell you the backstory for this patient. It's probably going to make your toes curl. It makes mine curl. This lovely, lovely gent had a wax issue a good number of years ago, and went to see the nurse who was at his place of work. And to remove the wax, the nurse was instructed, quite a new nurse, was instructed to warm the olive oil and then to pop it into the patient's ear. Because the nurse hadn't really done anything like this before, they boiled the olive oil and then tipped it straight into this patient's ear. So it actually burnt the entire ear canal and burnt through the eardrum, which is why we're left with all this scar tissue there. Do you know what? It still sends a cold shiver down my spine every time I tell this story. But you can see now there's no anatomical features there, just very, very thick scar tissue, basically. Patient instantly passed out when that went through, as you could probably imagine from the pain. This is why it took a long time to get this particular patient to come back through and entertain the idea of having their ears cleaned after such a horrendous thing to happen to them. You can understand that they'd be very reluctant to have anything done with their ears past that point. But very happy to come back, and comes back twice a year now. It's absolute lovely soul as well. One of those people that really lifts your day when you see their absolutely lovely, lovely gent. So what you can see here now, we've got the patient's other ear. I'm not going to say second ear. I keep getting told off for saying second ear, but this is the patient's other ear here, and you can see it very slightly different type of wax, a lot drier in this one, not so much of that stickier nature to it, but we're just lifting a little bit of dry skin here at the base of the canal and trying to move all this and lift it all up off the base of the canal. There we go, it's really starting to come away. A few people asked in the comments on the last video and on Monday's video as well how Taylor's doing. Taylor's doing fantastically well. He's very, very good. He's very, very good, and he's settled in really, really well. I know he's due to take a little bit of time off soon, so we'll fill you in on those details in a bit anyway. So you can see now we've just got this lump of wax in here. We've tried to go in with the infant scoop there, but unfortunately the infant scoop, you could see there, was just pushing that wax a little bit further in. So not the ideal tool here, but it's just dropped it backwards. So I'm using the suction to try and draw this lump forwards if we can, and trying to roll this out of the canal, but it's a tough old piece, this one. Looking to do the same technique as we did last time, which is where we put onto the surface of the wax and we just slowly chip away at the front end there, but it's not really budging. So I'm going to use the Rosen inserter. I want to move this wax. Now it's not a big enough gap for the St. Bart's hook. Jobson horn's going to be the same kind of thing, and the infant scoop. So as long as we can draw this forwards, which is what we've done there. So I wanted to get a grip in there with the Rosen inserter and then just draw this section down and forwards. But you can see it's great at repositioning, but because it's such a narrow section, it just pulls through. But now we've brought this top section forwards, we can get behind this now with the Jobson horn. There we are. You can see it's slowly starting to draw down. So a lot of this, it's changing tools and techniques to accommodate, and you might think, well, a Jobson horn would be great if you get that out, but to get it into the right position to accommodate the Jobson horn, we're going to have to do some other bits and pieces. But you can see this is coming away really nicely now. There we are. I did have somebody in the comment section say that we need to think up a theme tune for some of the other tools, because we've got everyone thinks about the Mighty Mouse theme tune now whenever the Jobson horn comes into play. We'll have to think of a few more. Drop into the comment section below. It's always a fun thing when we do this kind of stuff. So you can see that good chunk of wax came away there. We've still got another little bit behind though, so we're just going to go in and grab that section. So Jobson horn comes in to save the day again, over the top. Really good hard chunk, that one there, and out that pops as well. Looks very similar actually to the first section we took away. A little bit here at the entrance, we'll get rid of that. And we'll take a look behind here. Now you can see there's a couple of little hairs right on the tip of the hammer bone, so we're going to leave those alone. But look at the base of the eardrum here. Patient is talking to me while this is going on, so you can see it's just moving slightly. But when we get a good grip, look at that dead skin there that's coming away off the bottom of the eardrum, really peeled away nicely. You've got these two little crossed hairs at the top there, right on the top of the hammer bone, so it would have been really uncomfortable and very dangerous to remove those as well. So we're going to leave those there. Baths and showers will come out. But this is what we move. So we've got 4 centimeters worth of wax there. Oh my goodness, inches. I can't even see my easy rule as well. Inch, just over 1.5 inches half, maybe possibly 1.75 inches. More an 1.75 inches than 1.5 inches. So quite a bit of wax came away from both those ear canals. When you take into account that they were very, very narrow entrances to those canals as well. Well, guys, it is Friday, so I hope you have a fantastic weekend. As always, guys, look after your ears, look after yourselves, and look after one another, and I'll see you on Monday. Bye, everyone.